We have Hugh Pennington, who's Emeritus Professor of Bacteriology at Aberdeen University, who spent many years also at the Glasgow Institute of Virology, and also Dr. Kimberly Dienes, who's a lecturer in clinical and health psychology at Swansea University. Good morning to you both.
Hello.
Good morning.
Morning. Dr. Dienes, you were just hearing there from Lucy Fisher from The Telegraph. We were talking about kind of compliance levels and those people who think, actually, I am sticking to the rules. And if you take any more away from me, that's it. I will be at breaking point. How, in your mind, how does it work if the restrictions become tighter? Do more people comply, or do more people just say, you know what, no, I can't?
I think that that's a very good question. And I think what we've really been seeing in our research and what we've been hearing from people as well is what we're calling alert fatigue. You know, they've been hearing all of these different messages, changes in lockdowns and changes over time, and it makes people shut down in multiple ways. I think it makes them stop listening to messages. And I think it can also make them shut down within themselves too, which can affect mental health, can't it? Where they start feeling like a loss of control. And they start just feeling that they can't comply with what they're being told to do.
Well, Hugh Pennington, do you think further restrictions are needed?
Well, I don't think there's much choice at the moment. The virus numbers are so high, the number of cases so high, and we're constantly being told that, you know, there's this lag between case numbers and people going into hospital and into ICU and then unfortunately dying. So, you know, we're not at the peak yet, and clearly I think that basically what the government is engaged in is firefighting, and basically, you know, you have to put the water on the flames until you've got the flames damped down. The problem with lockdowns is that they don't solve the problem. They alleviate it, they reduce the amount of virus that's circulating, but we must do that because clearly with the case numbers that are so high at the moment, all the other things that we can do that we're not doing particularly well, like particularly contact tracing and self-isolation, we've really got to pay a lot of attention to that. And the fewer cases that there are, the easier it is to get that sort of policy really working properly and really get a grip on the virus.
I mean, the problem is that people need timelines, don't they? I think psychologically, if you're told, OK, it's only for 3 weeks or it's only for 1 month or we'll be done by the 15th of February, you know, various dates thrown around, then people can work towards something. I mean, Hugh Pennington, there is no way of giving a clear, definitive date, is there?
There isn't. No, we're in the hands of the virus. And the virus, well, it has no brains, of course, but, you know, it takes all the advantages it can in terms of spreading. And social contact is the way that the virus spreads. Under particular circumstances, it spreads very well indeed. And we have super spreading events like we did last year with the university students and meat plants and all that kind of thing. This is really quite a subtle virus in the way it spreads. And it's very good at spreading. Never mind the new variant. The old variants were very good at spreading as well. So we've got a major problem here in stopping those routes of, well, not stopping, but basically reducing those routes of transmission, which at the end of the day involves human behaviour.
Dr. Kimberly Dienes, listen to this. Someone's texted in saying, "Morning, Naga. The issue is that the government isn't managing the public's expectations properly, making promises, then continually breaking them. This is a fluid situation, so they should avoid making promises. The public's sick to the back teeth of being told to just hang on for a few more days. We're nearly there. Hold on. It's just fatigue over the whole situation." That's Ian from Preston. I mean, that's it, isn't it? It's almost like when you have a dog or children and you change the lines of behaviour. Once they keep changing, then you're just like, there are no lines anymore.
Absolutely. And I think that one thing that children expect from their parents is consistency. It's one of the most important things in child rearing. And unfortunately, I think that's what we tend to expect from our politicians as well and are not getting from government right now is this consistency and this sense of predictability. Now, that is in part because of the virus. You know, as just was said very clearly, we can't predict things. But what we can do is clarify our messaging and stop changing the rules. So if we were going to make this lockdown stricter, this is something that probably should have happened January 5th. I think that what we're seeing now, which is a huge crisis in the NHS, I absolutely agree with that, is something that's reflecting what happened at Christmas. It's the 2-week lag that we just heard about. And I think that it is going to get harder and harder. But as Chris Whitty said this morning, what we really need to do is make our current messages clear and get people to realize how serious this is and to adhere to those messages, not to create new ones.
It feels, I'm sure lots of people feel this, that you're being smacked with a baton of fear, and rightly so. This is serious. You heard from Dr. Johansson earlier. We've seen the numbers. We know people are getting very, very sick and dying. But is there a flip side psychologically? Is there a flip side, perhaps, I don't know, offering incentives to comply? Or is that just a step too far?
I think that's a very good question, actually. And it was something I was thinking myself, because obviously, speaking behaviorally with operant conditioning, one of the best things you can do to increase a behavior, right? And adherence behaviors, we want them to increase, is to offer incentives, to offer rewards. And so that is something that I think might work at this time. I don't know how many resources we have to be doing that. But I think that punishment is one of the worst things you can do to increase a behavior. It just doesn't work.
Let me read a text to both of you that we've just come in. This is from Bri in Rotherham. It's powerful. I'm just so sick of these bloody experts. We're sticking to their damn rules and still it ain't doing nothing. They change their bloody minds every day. What do these clowns think I'm going to pay my bills with if I'm stuck at home? Sodom. I've had enough of it. I mean, it's strong, but you're laughing, but loads of people feel this way. How does that attitude change? I mean, Kimberly's looked at this. Hugh, what do you think?
Well, yes, I know. I've been attacked and death threats and all that kind of stuff on social media. But having said that, without the experts, we'd be nowhere. I mean, they may not have got everything right, but without the experts, we'd be nowhere. This virus would just be on the rampage. And clearly, what about the vaccines? Who's developed the vaccines? The experts.
I'm going to pick up on the fact that you said you've had death threats on social media because people are angry. I mean, yeah, and, Kimberly's, wow. How have you reacted to that, Hugh? And can you rationalise it? I mean, obviously you put it to one place.
Well, I just ignore it. Watch out. I'm not going out very much anyway. So, they're empty threats. People get very upset. And, of course, social media has a lot to answer for in the sense that there's absolutely no editing, no kind of control over it. As a scientist, if I want to get my paper published with my results, my expert judgment, it goes through a refereeing process and doesn't always win. Sometimes it's rejected because the referees don't like what you're saying, and so on. They don't think the scientific evidence you produce is not good enough, and all that kind of stuff. So, ignore it. But on the other hand, it's very depressing when we get these kind of, I've seen it in the United States, where and in this country where people are saying, COVID is a sort of conspiracy. Well, conspiracy theories have been around ever since the midst of time rolled back. So, one just has to live with it, but on the other hand, one has to react to it, and one has to do one's best to get the message across that what we're doing is, trying to get the virus down, and we're trying to save lives. That's what it's all about, saving lives and saving people from getting the long COVID, this frightful syndrome where, you're ill for months and months and months after having had a recovered infection, as you think, and so on. All that is very, very bad for the public, plus all the downsides of lockdowns, the mental health problems and the economic problems. And, that's only going to start up, isn't it? Well, it has already started up, the unemployment and, it just beggars belief that people are not prepared to listen to people who know what they're talking about.
It's interesting when I read that text from Bri from Rotherham, obviously strong language there. I know lots of parents have children at home and lots of children listening. So apologies, for the language that Brian used. I suppose it just shows just how passionate he is. And I do apologise if the language has upset anyone listening this morning. But Dr. Kimberly Dienes, it shows that Hugh's been implying that it's on social media, but there is a danger, isn't it, that people, that those frustrations spill out into everyday life. How can, I suppose, from your point of view, just finish on a note of how to handle that?
Absolutely. I think people are incredibly frustrated, and the core of the frustration is the virus is how much it's affecting our lives, how this is affecting all of us. I'm an expert. I also have small children. I've also been hugely affected as well, but people are affected to very different levels. And I think that the level of frustration that's out there is something that we're all seeing. And it's something that's understandable. At the same time, there's something very different between feeling something and acting on it. You can feel angry. I'm not saying you shouldn't feel angry. You can hate experts even if, that helps, but acting on it, tweeting something like a death threat is very, very different than experiencing an emotion and perhaps talking about it with those that you're close to. And I think that one thing that we can all, hang on to right now is we need to get rid of this virus and, we need to get rid of this influence. So if we can all I love that message you said earlier, and it's one I've heard before, act like we have it. Right now, just act like you have it. Act like you need to stop it from spreading. And hopefully we can get through this together.
Wise words. Dr. Kimberly Dienes, lecturer in clinical and health psychology at Swansea University. Hugh Pennington, Emeritus Professor of Bacteriology at Aberdeen University. Both, thank you so much, and do stay safe and take care.
Thank you.